Can everybody hear me all right? Oh, wow, sorry. I came in all the way in the back. We're good?
Projecting.
Yeah,
Very
there we
nice.
go. Yeah, I was told. All right, well, welcome everybody. Really excited for this panel, something I'm very passionate about. I know we have a lot to get through and not a whole lot of time. So I don't want to take too much kind of dilly-dallying here at the start. We will leave some time at the end for questions. The format of this is basically going to be myself and Chris initially kind of laying the landscape here around the social token space, getting into a lot of the really great things him and the team at Rally are doing. And then we're actually going to bring up a couple creators to talk through exactly how this is coming to fruition, right? And some real kind of tangible use cases for these things. So without further ado, Chris, I'll let you kind of give a brief intro to yourself and then kind of just give us the lay of the land in terms of the pitch for Rally. What is it you guys do exactly?
Absolutely. So I'm Chris Fortier, VP of Product for Rally. Relatively new at the company, coming via Twitch and the game space and then a finance background. So if you think about what Rally's mission is, we are enabling creators to make their own economies. That economy concept is both nebulous, but also incredibly important and incredibly vital. Creators have seen large Web 2 institutions disintermediate them, cut them out of monetization. Basically, they've seen that they don't control their own destinies. Web3, and specifically Rally as a crypto toolbox, is an attempt to balance those scales and an attempt to allow creators to take more control over their relationship with fans and communities. Rally's ultimate purpose is enabling creators to make a living. And my contributions are to guide the product, assist with our third-party development efforts, and basically help Rally function as a sort of more centralized node inside of the decentralized Rally network.
Fantastic. And let's kind of dig right into the meat of that. I know we've had some conversations offline. I'd love to get your kind of perspective on how you think about the economics of social tokens, and then I'm going to kind of dovetail this into NFTs in my next question, but let's start with kind of the social token economics themselves. How do you think about that?
So as a game maker for many, many years, and particularly in the mobile game space, economies are kind of just a language and something that I'm very comfortable with. The idea that a social token is a currency, I think, is pretty fundamental to Rally's perspective on this. In other cases, and sort of with other strategies, social tokens seem like an end unto themselves. But for us, social tokens are much more a means. We want a fan to come into Rally, to be able to quickly and easily acquire social tokens, and have something to spend them on. They make sense as coins. That's why we call them creator coins. And for an economy to function, we think a creator needs things that they want to sell and means to buy. The creator is hugely invested in the social token itself. They get a large Genesis stake that is sort of the foundation of their interest in the economy. But from the fan's perspective, the social tokens are a means of getting more experiences with that creator. We'll talk about NFTs in a second, but I think ultimately social tokens are a way of taking everything a creator is doing, creator time, tokenizing that, and allowing fans to opt into that piece of time, that experience, that interaction, that opportunity to attend a show, that purchase of a piece of music or a piece of art. All of that is basically creator time in and fan time, attention, and money in from the other direction.
And so you mentioned again, kind of the interplay here with NFTs. Let's jump into that. How do you kind of see, do you look at them differently? Do you look at them as complementary to one another? How do NFTs kind of play into this larger kind of social token big picture?
Two sides of the economy. Social tokens are the currency, NFTs are the goods. Digital goods are the most sort of straightforward way of expressing a digital economy for a creator. We see in Mainnet in particular that the collectibles use case for NFTs appears to be dominant. This collectibles use case is around, call it radical scarcity, as opposed to radical ownership. There are interesting aspects of community formation with the collectibles on Mainnet and a lot to be learned there, but we ultimately think that underserves NFTs. And it certainly underserves NFTs if your objective is to have an ongoing relationship with your community and your fans relative to sort of a large, discrete, splashy transaction. There are only so many transactions you can have if your mantra is radical scarcity versus radical engagement. So when we think about NFTs, we've got three other use cases that we're at least as excited about as the collectibles use case. Keys, which are ongoing, sort of durable access to something. Imagine a shared social space, imagine a Discord, imagine a chat room. Keys are your way into that door. Tickets, which are sort of a more call it transactional or one-time access to something. Tickets make perfect sense, particularly for musicians or going to a show. And with an NFT, and dating myself a little bit here, but you can imagine a ticket stub, right? You burn the part of the NFT that gets you access, but you always get to preserve the thing that allowed that access in the first place, which you get to show as your ongoing engagement. As I said, dating myself. But then the third and final is, and this is the one that I'm really excited about and don't see as much in mainnet, is recognition. We see NFTs in these economies as a two-way street. Creators value their fans' time, and fans obviously value their creator time, and they also value and sort of want to contribute to the patronage of their creator. Recognition NFTs are an acknowledgement that you were a fan at a certain point, or you were there when I won that tournament, or you were, you won that rap battle, right? Any of those can then become interesting things for fans to own, sell, keep, trade. But ultimately, it's the two-way street that I think is going to keep this flywheel spinning. And it shows the creators' devotion to their fans, just like the reverse.
Gotcha. So is it safe to kind of, I guess, delineate the two, one being NFTs and access and these maybe more unique, we'll call them one-time experiences or more kind of finite experiences. And then the social token itself is kind of this ownership governance, right? Where you can actually have that, let's say, really kind of direct relationship between creators and their fans.
Exactly right. And I think creators need both because I do think scarcity has a role. Creator time is not infinite. Being able to decide how many individual experiences you're able to contribute, to be able to turn that into something that fans can swap amongst themselves before redeeming, that allows creators to keep control over their lives. And then it allows social tokens to sort of proliferate and expand as much as they can.
And when you're talking with creators, right, a lot of people in crypto like to talk about mass adoption, right, in these kind of different verticals. And we're fortunate enough to have two great creators with us today who are going to give us some insight into this as well. You've mentioned before how it's important to, I guess, position this for creators as not necessarily something that's so novel and new, but ways that they can actually integrate some of these things into existing businesses or things they're already doing, right? Interactions they're already kind of having with fans. Can you touch on that and how, I guess, important that is to bring that creator along that journey so that it doesn't seem as intimidating as, hey, I'm going to launch my own social token, and obviously a lot of the bells and whistles you assume that kind of come with that.
That's exactly right. If there's one thing I learned at Twitch, it's that you will quickly go bankrupt trying to get creators to do something that is not their livelihood. They just don't have time. They just don't have attention or bandwidth. If you want to help creators, you need to bring your technology to them and show how obvious it is to incorporate into what they're already doing. And I think Jeremiah and Il have some awesome examples of that coming up. But then in terms of sort of crypto savviness, which I think is an underlying underlying point in this question, we find that our creators are somewhat crypto leaned in, or at least crypto curious and adjacent, and their fans are not. And that is, I think, a sort of classic dichotomy when you're trying to mainstream something. So what we do is try to make the fan experience very Web 2. You can come in, you swipe a credit card, you don't have to worry that there's an RLY token, you just get your coin. And you can sort of see that in your portfolio and then immediately use the Creator Coin page to turn that into an experience. We call that a core loop back in the gaming days, but I think it's a good analogy for how a fan experiences this, which is they come in, bring time and attention, get a coin, turn that coin into something they value, continue to do it. And that's all they need to understand. We ultimately find that our creators tend to be the best evangelists for crypto that we could possibly want. And we've had sort of creators go very deep into crypto after their experience with Rally and pull their fans along with them. But again, our entire idea around the fan experience is to make it as seamless and as traditional as possible to make sure that as many fans as we can come along.
That's great. And final question before we bring up our first creator. You mentioned, you have this, we'll call it Web 2 experience, right? You were at Twitch before. If you could just kind of briefly hit on what it was you were doing there, and then if these platforms are really starting to think about crypto and more specifically social tokens in the type of way that you're talking about, if at all.
Absolutely. So at Twitch, I was in charge of music. So I had both trying to build music creators and also our DMCA response. So a little bit of good, a little bit of bad in terms of that. Ultimately, I think platforms like Twitch acknowledge that they cannot be the only means of a creator's living. Platforms like Twitch also understand that, particularly in live streaming, but sort of, I think, broadly across the creation space, they consume too much creator time And it's all sort of creator in, creator out. There's no opportunity for passive income. There's no opportunity for taking something you've done and earning long-term royalties on it. Twitch is so visceral and so live that you basically have to continually pour yourself into it, or you become irrelevant and move on. That is a very bad model for creators, and I would expect that while Twitch may not be in a position to adopt crypto itself, something like Rally actually augments Twitch's offering and is complementary, because we don't get into the way of the creators' sort of acts of creation. If somebody is a streamer, they need to continue streaming. That's their job, that's their livelihood, that's how they form their communities. What Rally provides is the opportunity to continue that conversation outside of the context of the Web 2 sort of monolithic platforms, and to truly own that engagement structure. And we think that that's going to be a pretty winning model, and we view it as a partnership model.
That's great, and that's a perfect segue, I think, to bring up our first creator. Jeremiah is coming up now while he's making his way to the stage. Yeah, let's give it up for him.
Hi, everybody. Yeah.
I'm going to let you give your own intro, because you can obviously tell your story much better than I can, but I want to hear about, yes, the quick background on you, but also really how you made your way into crypto. You have your own creator coin. I'd love to kind of hit on that.
Yeah, so I have been a creator. I was one of the first bloggers, been blogging over 15 years, over 3,000 posts. I was really early on in the Web 2.0 space. And I have a Twitter following, and just, I'm really speaking to people who are making changes in digital. So my career mission is talking about how companies use new technologies to connect to their customers. And I've been doing that for over 20 years. And I have a wonderful group of people who follow me on that. And in fact, I use my coin to connect with my community and those around me. In fact, there's a coin drop right here. So
we need to see more phones out, please.
Yeah, so you need to have a rally.io account. Some of you, raise your hand if you have one already. Okay, so so when you go through this process, you're gonna find it's pretty easy to use. And once you get your rally.io account, go ahead and take a screen grab if you like. Then you can grab one of my coins. And I have a limited supply. There's probably enough for almost everybody in the room, just doing a quick count. Some people are going to miss out. That's some scarcity. Now, what you're going to find is that Rally is for everybody. All right, so really quick, show of hands. Raise your hand if you own cryptocurrency. Okay, like nobody.
Yeah.
It was everybody for those that are watching. Now raise your hand if your mama has crypto. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hands out of like a lot. It's like less than 10%. Well, guess what? My mama's got my crypto. It's so easy to use. She was using the site, no Ethereum wallet to manage, no major crazy seed phrases to deal with, no cold storage. I mean, I just can't imagine explaining that to her. So this is Rally. It makes it easy for everyone. And you think about the creators that we're onboarding, celebrities, athletes, music producers that are coming up in just a second. Their fans are not going to be wanting to mess around with MetaMask. Can you imagine? It's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. So my last thing on this, and I'm sorry, I'm just kind of going here.
You keep going.
So what we believe as a creator, this is the things that I covered Web 2.0, and when those guys came to destroy media, they said, we're going to tear down traditional media, we're going to tear down newspapers and journalists, and we want the people to have the power to create content. We are the rebels smashing the castle. Well, unfortunately, Mark and Jack and some of those guys, they end up becoming the kings of the new castle. So the difference is now, and this is my final bit on this, is that creators should have self-sovereignty. I need to own my own business and what I need to do. I've got my own blog with my followers and Twitter followers and LinkedIn and elsewhere. And 2, I should be free to go where I want. And a platform should not be able to shadow ban me. I should be able to take my fans to a different platform. And the third one is I need to have a direct relationship with my fans and my community, so we can transact directly. I do not want to go through a third party like that. And so that's what crypto provides. Does that make sense? Cool.
I love it. And you've done a really good job of kind of building this cohort, this community of creators themselves, right? And you mentioned you've onboarded.
I've onboarded almost 30 creators.
Let's dig into that. Let's talk to some.
Oh yeah, okay. So Christina Holder, she believes in women being in DeFi. She's amazing. She's in DC, so she runs the biggest clubhouse room called Women for Business, and she's educating women on crypto. And she gives away her coin, and they're buying the coin, and they're using it to transact with each other for services, as one example. I also onboarded BT, a music artist in electronic dance music, if you know him, and he's got a thriving community. They went crazy. That just launched, and so he's preparing, I don't want to spoil it, but he has a roadmap of products and services to use his coin to have that direct relationship with his rabid fans. And a third example would be I onboarded my friend Jeff Pulver, and he has a regular Zoom session. And he uses his coins, and people are purchasing his NFTs. He's got great nighttime photography of the galaxies, and people are purchasing it as a form of tickets, and also they're holding it out of just they have endearment for his art, and they love his show, and they're totally engaged. So there's just a couple examples. And can I talk about what I've done myself?
Please.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. So I host Clubhouse sessions, and I had one big brand, a blue chip tech company. They're like, hey man, we want you to interact and do a session and interview our execs. And I don't know if you've ever done procurement with a top 10 company. Oh my God. I mean, for a sponsorship for a Clubhouse room, can you imagine the amount of paperwork I'd have to do? It's just like, forget it. So we used crypto, and they purchased my services, and I integrated them into my show. And I actually took some of the coin, which is sponsored by them, and I gave away it to the audience. I also gave it away to the influencers that I invited to come. So everybody in the community had a piece of the coin. It's like my own, I don't want to be too grandiose, but it's like a little kingdom, right? My own economy, right? Where my people, and you're all part of my tribe now, right? Because you're grabbing my coin. We're all in this together, and we can grow together.
So I think that's another perfect segue to bring in our second creator. Il, if you want to make your way to the stage right now, let's give it up for Il. I'm going to go ahead and toot your horn while you're getting settled up here. You are a Grammy Award-winning producer. You've worked with names like Beyonce, Jay-Z, Drake, Kanye. Raise your hand if you've heard of any of those in this room, right? Yeah, thank you. So what I'd really like to know is, similar to what we asked Jeremiah up here, you got into, I believe, Bitcoin a lot earlier than most, right? Back in kind of 2013, used it or integrated into a storefront. But I'd love to kind of hear your journey into crypto and the reasons why you decided to launch your own creator coin as well.
Yeah, for sure. Is my mic on? Can you guys hear me? Check 1, 2. Okay, cool. So yeah, basically, just real short about me. I'm a music producer, musician. Mainly in the hip hop space. Been doing this for almost 20 years. Crazy. So I came up, in the underground. So, collecting records, chopping records, looking up to producers like Timbaland and Pharrell and, all the names that, he named earlier, just people that are much more famous than everyone in this room combined, basically.
No offense to our student audience.
Yep. I started there, and, it was a slow come up, knowing 0 people, networking, getting to know rappers, getting to know artists, trying to get my name out there. And probably like 5 to 8 years into that process, I realized how valuable it is to engage with the producer community, right? Being a music producer, and this is like around the MySpace time where we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have Facebook. So, if you met another music producer, it was like kind of a big deal because it's like, oh wow, like you also listen to the Neptunes and Timbaland, and you chop records and you want to be this music producer. And as the years went by and as social media became more of a thing, I just got more and more fascinated by the idea of connecting with other creators. So music producers, musicians, all that. So I had thrown an event back in 2009 called BLAP. And it stood for Beats, Love, Alcohol Party, right? And it was this live event where producers come in with their laptops, probably like 5 to 8 of them, and we each take turns playing our beats, right? So it was kind of like, instead of having a DJ, you had like 5 to 8 producers that would just play these unheard of beats, and then it was a bar, there's people there, and it was like this thing. We did it right over here in this venue called Katra. I don't think they're there anymore. And we did it once a month, and it was like this cool thing. We would network, and producers would get to know each other. And that was 2009. And that was also around the time when like beat battles were starting, and all these cool things for producers. And now it's like cool to be a producer. You guys know what producers are now and DJs. So we were kind of early on that, and so within that time span, I've developed all these different sort of like services, products, and just things that we can do to get together. And one of the first events I did was that Blap session. And then in 2011, I started my podcast, which was called Blap on the Radio, which was basically like a music producer podcast. And this was before people really gave a shit about podcasts, honestly. And then from there, I started a monthly club called the Imind Platinum Club, which was basically, if you're a music producer, you're an upcoming music producer, you join the monthly club, and then every month you get these different perks, right? This was 2013. I built it on Shopify, which is crazy. I just figured it out. And every month you pay a fee, and then you get like exclusive drum sounds, melody loops. You get to collaborate with me, and I think at one point we reached like almost 1,000 members, which is so crazy. And then from there, it just got really just started to really pick up. I started doing these monthly events where I would travel to different cities every month. I would rent a secret studio location, and then people would buy a ticket. They would come to the studio, and then they would play their music, collaborate. We would, eat pizza and get to know each other. And it was in this like real intimate space. And depending on what city I was in, I would invite, superstar friends to come in and talk to people. I did a few where, I did one where Russ came in, and he spoke to the people, and some other bigger producers. So that kind of evolved into another thing. And then this year, when I caught wind of Rally, when I found out what they were and what their use cases were and what they were doing, everything clicked in my mind. I told myself, all these things that I've been doing for the past 12 years, I can now combine all of that and create this controlled ecosystem where I could onboard my followers in a real simple way, just like they were saying. And now I can provide all of these different digital products and services in this real clean, real easy way and build this economy. And it's been amazing so far. And speaking of Twitch, that's exactly what I do. Like, I'll stream on Twitch, and a lot of the stuff that I do on Twitch, whether it's collaborating with people or doing beat battles and stuff like that, they're all run on the Rally token on my Blap coin. And so we do contests, giveaways, and I've been having a blast with it. So
the tragedy is that we weren't there a decade ago for you to actually give you the ability to grow the economy the whole time.
No, it's crazy. Guys, I'm like the type of person, as a producer and engineer, our job is to figure shit out. There's a problem, we figure it out, except 99% of what we do is based on music, right? So if I need something to sound a certain way, I need to figure it out. If I need a violin to play a certain chord or a key, I need to figure out where to get the violin, how to record it, how to mix it. So by nature, that's sort of what I've always done. And so when I started to do all these things, I'm just like, I need a website. All right, I need to figure out Shopify. How do I create a monthly membership for people and integrate that app into Shopify? And this was 8 years ago. So Rally is just making my life so much easier. So thank you to Rally.
Better late than never, right?
Yeah. No kidding.
What I found really interesting about that is, as you mentioned, you're actually selling digital products and services and pricing those and allowing people to pay for that in your own coin, right? And so maybe if you could speak to what you have so far seen as kind of the advantage of allowing people to do that and pay for those products in your own coin versus, let's say, something like a fiat currency.
Yeah, totally. So, in my space, everything's digital. So an MP3 is digital. If I create a piano melody and I, sell it, that's what they call a sample loop, a melody loop. That's a digital file, right? So for many years, as you guys know very well, digital files were very difficult to authenticate and prove. So if I were to give, let's say, Jeremiah one of my piano loops, he can then give it to, one other person, and then, in a couple months, 100 people might have that same melody loop. Now, what happens if one of those 100 people uses that melody loop that I created and decides to sell that full beat to a rapper, and then all of a sudden that rapper shoots a video, and then now it's on YouTube, and then I hear it, and it gets 1 million views, and I'm like, holy shit, that's my piano loop. How did it get there? And it would be impossible to track that. And so with, obviously with blockchain and all that stuff and what we're doing here, it's a lot easier to now, keep track of all those things and authenticate who owns what. And that's why I'm personally really, really fascinated by this space, is because it's finally giving us an opportunity to authenticate our IP and to make the playing field a little more organized and fair, because for a long time it's been the wild, wild west out here, and you know, we're finally at that place where we can fix that. So.
Yeah, one of the things I love about these types of environments and these conferences, right, is if you look out, you've probably got a handful of entrepreneurs, you've got, you know, investors, you've got builders, you've got creators themselves, hopefully a few in the crowd or at least watching at home. And one thing
Any musicians in here? Raise your hand.
Oh, nice, very nice.
Great, awesome.
That's great. It's actually more than I expected, to be honest. For
could make a whole album.
For those watching at home. And one thing I did want to hit on was the kind of developer community around this, right? And Chris, I'll start with you here, but I do want to open it up to these guys as well. Maybe just talk quickly about, you know, the developer community around Rally, some of the integrations you guys are kind of working on, and then I do want to kick it over to Jeremiah and Il to hear kind of how people are starting to use these coins themselves, but more so the future use cases for these, right? What's getting you guys excited about the things that Rally's obviously doing and building to make this not only, I guess, more user-friendly, but also give real kind of utility to, you know, these assets.
Speaking specifically to the developer community, Rally has to be decentralized. I mean, if you were following along to Il's story, I heard about 15 Create a Coin use cases and about 30 NFT use cases. There's just literally no way we can customize integrations or capabilities for each of our creators. But it turns out if you have an army of developers who are interested, usually also creators themselves, and leaning in, we don't have to, because those developers are both excited to find solutions, and we have the Rally Community DAO that can fund those solutions directly. So I think that is a huge example of both sort of decentralization and why it does take a community. It takes a village to figure out all of these individual use cases. That allows us to focus more on underlying tech, to really improve our NFT program, to make sure we have cool distribution methods, and to start layering in ever more utility to NFTs so that people can just find new ways to put together the Legos, right? So from our perspective, the third-party developer community is as important a part of the Rally development as any team that I'm directing.
I'll give an example of that to bring that to life. So we have so by the way, when we become creators, we're under the same token, the Rally token, which is ERC20. And so if that rises, our coins actually rise, right? So we literally start to help each other. So the creators have twice monthly calls. We also have regular calls with the developer community who are also paid under Rally token. So 71% of the Rally, if I'm correct, 71% of the Rally tokens are for us and the developers and our fans. These guys only own 29%. They're building infrastructure, so we're literally all in this together. And so that QR code that you grabbed is from a third-party developer called Bonfire. So they built that for us creators, so I can do coin drops and airdrops, and he could do this at his show. I've also had third-party developers, token gates, clubhouse rooms, so people could only get in my clubhouse room if they owned my coin. And so that was all done third-party. So there's like so many things we could do. Just to bring that to life.
Bonfire in particular was able to raise from Silicon Valley just on the strength of working inside the RLY community and the broad Rally ecosystem.
That's a great point. And we're going to get to questions in a second, so get those prepped. I think we have some mics that'll go around. But I want to kick that kind of same question to you. You mentioned, you know, in your kind of intro around being an engineer as well and really just having to figure things out. How's your experience been so far with that kind of developer community?
It's been great. I mean, you know, like they were saying earlier, the onboarding was my first main concern, because, you know, my audience goes from, you know, the 18-year-old kid in their mom's basement who downloaded Fruity Loops, which is one of the main programs for beat makers to make beats, to, you know, the 35-year-old with a kid who does this as, you know, sort of a hobby but still pursuing as a career, and everyone in between. So it's hobbyists and professionals. And still to this day, I mean, you guys know more than I do, a lot of them are still not really well versed into this world. And so that was my concern at first, was how difficult will it be to onboard people? And it was super easy. Oh my God, like the experience for them felt like, you know, it felt very easy and very comfortable for them, and that was really important. So yeah, I mean, so far it's been pretty incredible, man. Like, I'm getting new people in every day. All of my OG fans that have been following me since that first party that I threw, 12 years ago are still there, and they're like, hey, I got some black coin. I can't wait to see you when you come to this city to, DJ or do this. So I've been having a lot of fun, man. And I think as time goes by, the more and more people that get well versed into this stuff, it's just going to be, that much easier. And by then, the technology will be crazy. We were talking about that earlier, so.
And really quickly to that point, the new people you're bringing in, would you say, by and large, they're more kind of non-crypto native? So you're bringing in actually new people, let's say, that are starting to experience or interact with crypto for the first time?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. They're super non-crypto native. They're, becoming believers. A lot of them were in saying, hey, this is, technically my first coin that I've ever, owned.
Same here.
Yeah.
My J altcoin, they get it before they get Ethereum or Bitcoin. That's pretty wild, right?
Yeah, I've been experiencing the same thing. So, it's just cool to be able to just onboard people and putting people on to how powerful this stuff is. So.
You guys are the ones responsible for just red pilling people left and right.
Yeah, I mean, the mainstreams are going to come through celebrities and creators and
Communities.
Right, and UTA, can you talk about that?
Yeah, so Rally recently inked a deal with UTA, which allows UTA to pitch for us and to...
They may not know what UTA is.
One of the largest talent agencies. I think it's United Talent Agency, if I don't miss my guess. And so our idea is to, again, we're trying to really break mainstream, not just for Rally, but for all crypto. And to Jeremiah's point, one of the fastest ways to do that is to bring full communities on. And the fastest way to bring a healthy full community is to anchor it on a creator or some other sort of hub for the spokes of the community. And we found a lot of success with that. I think you're going to find some very interesting names coming to Rally in the near future.
Yeah, and what excites me about this, I'll just add on, is I'm going back and I'm reliving all this stuff that I've done. And 99% of everything most stuff that I've done, I've always been the weird producer that's doing something new. You know what I mean? There goes Imind starting a podcast. What is that? There goes Imind doing a monthly club. Why is he doing that? There goes Imind starting, doing a block coin, and then I'm doing the metaverse stuff now.
And NFTs.
Yeah, NFTs. And recently I built a VR recording studio. And what we're going to start doing is I started doing it already, but inviting producers to come to the VR world and be able to do Q&As with me and collaborate and make music inside the metaverse. That's kind of my new, 5-year plan right now, because it's super exciting to be able to do that. So I'm always instinctually trying to think ahead to onboard people, and the whole goal is to just push the music producer community forward, right? Like someone's got to be that guy on top of the mountain saying, hey guys, come over here, this is cool. We don't all have to do the same thing. This is just one step to that.
Cheers for the weirdos, right?
Yeah, cheers for the weirdos, yeah.
That's right, I'm a weirdo too.
Got a stage full.
Oh yeah.
I want to take a pause quick. Does anybody have any questions for these guys? We got mics. I could talk for days about this, so yeah, let's.
Well, thank you guys. It was a great discussion. I'm an IP attorney, and I've been thinking a lot about, I agree with what you just said, that the next consumer wave is going to be connecting with celebrities, musicians, people that they know and love, and it gives them an anchor to come to crypto. But I wanted to follow up on one of your points, which was, from a creative perspective, how are you thinking about, gating licensing? Like you mentioned that you're able to, your content is going from here to there to there. Have you seen anything? Are you working on anything where you're seeing your IP being, somehow embedded in a token or NFT or something like that, and then able to license it out through that format, or is that something you're just, aspirational at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of different platforms that are, working to solve that problem. I think we have a ways to go, honestly, and Chris, you being on Twitch with the DMCA stuff, I'm sure you have your fair share of experience in seeing that unfold. So it's kind of an issue that we need to fix, and I think it's going to be a long battle, to be honest. Yeah.
I do think there's an opportunity. Your point about having the NFT, that NFT can serve maybe not as legal proof, but certainly as convincing evidence of Ill's authorship. That could be important in trial, or more just importantly, it could be important when having a discussion with someone who is profiting from your work, right? A lot of this stuff becomes business relationships, a lot of this stuff becomes shared ownership, and there are a number of sort of means of making music work. Not all of them are super advantageous for the artist. The NFTs are an opportunity to really sort of shift some of that evidentiary capability in artists' favors. But we have a long way to go. And the vast majority of music rights are owned by some combination of publishers and labels. And I don't think we're going to see very big changes unless the publishers and labels are just as interested in jumping into this as independent artists are.
100, yeah, exactly.
Cool. So I see you guys are also like a utility token. So are you guys giving these individuals skin in the game, I guess, after to kind of enhance a piece? Because obviously they're bringing some type of value. Traditionally, you have a marketing company would pay them X amount for X amount of impressions. I'm just wondering, like, the skin in the game factor. As I saw your guys' market cap, so it's just very interesting. Just as I grew up singing in a boy group from 11 to 17, cassettes, haven't released anything in the last 20 years. So I got into crypto in 2011 and kind of just been exploring and early on, before we've been around since 2016, doing it, selling Monets and accepting payments in crypto, right? So, and it's obviously working with galleries, and authenticating that that's the truth. So my question is, how do you feel now? You have this $1 million album that was sold, Tory Lanez. You get what are your thoughts on that? Do you guys see going around that path, or is it something that it was kind of like?
Yeah, I can take that.
So you're talking about fans also making money with the creators.
I think he means the creator.
Creators as well.
Or the creator as well, yeah.
Jeremiah, please.
Yeah, I'll take it. So the creators are issued a number of their own Genesis tokens. And there's a couple different token bonding curves. We have 2 different ones depending on the artists and the size of their community. And so we're issued those. And then when we release it to our community, we give some away to the community. The community buys them from us as well. So we have a stake in the game. But also the community, they own it as well. So they benefit from the utility of the token, but also it's a token they could exchange for Rally, which is ERC20, and we're partnered with Coinbase. So yeah, there's a lot of advantages there. And there's some other techniques that happen to keep them really engaged. So yes, for some of the creators, our successful ones, like the Twitch streamers, they're making $10,000 to $20,000 US per week on Rally. 500K per year is likely to be their gross because of Rally. And they're still using Twitch and YouTube and those other platforms, but they're having direct monetization with them.
So they're also monetizing on Twitch on top of you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes they're using.
This is a totally completely different network.
Yeah, so
you should have as many revenue streams as you can possibly make. And just to address the business model question sort of more directly from the Rally side, Rally doesn't hold any creator coins, nor do we take a skim off of any creator coins, nor do we charge any fees. What Rally is interested in doing is in converting RLY tokens into creator coins. That's our reason for being. So when we sort of launch creators with that Genesis stake, the sky's the limit, but it's also sort of up to them. They own it through and through 100%.
So are you guys also helping new emerging artists, kind of like the same process that I wouldn't call a lottery, but potentially you have the ability to jump on this network, collaborations, right? So obviously you guys have the potential to connect someone that's super talented but doesn't have a network. And just because you guys connected that medium, now you have this new collaboration effort of someone from Fontucky, Hillsville, can collaborate with him. And then it's they make the song and it's pushed and it's a new emerging. So it's incentivizing that. I think that would be something cool to see.
it naturally happens because we're on the creator.
What I was gonna say.
We're obviously got our crazy Discord, and then we have the regular creator calls. We're all talking, and many of us are in the same communities, and so the collaboration naturally happens. I haven't seen any cross-branded thing massively though. But but some of the gamers they go to each other's streams to promote each other, and they allow them to do coin drops there, so they both grow each other's economy. I see that happening as well.
Yeah, the interesting thing about, you mentioned up-and-comers, right? Me being a music producer, helping an up-and-coming artist or singer, whatever, producer. The thing that I'm noticing, and this is what I do on my Twitch, right? So I have a monthly club and I do these giveaways. I do beat critiques where producers send me an MP3 of a beat and then I randomly choose and I play it live on stream and then I give them constructive criticism. I tell them, what I think. And then the best part about this is that, and this is what I'm learning sort of in real time, it's less about upcoming artist or producer getting to know Imind and more about getting to know their peers. And that's my favorite thing because I'll go into my Discord and I'll see producers and singers and rappers clicking up and creating groups, and it's all because they, are in my community. So it's less about try to get an Imind beat, but more about look at my peers and what I can do with them as well. So that's one big lesson that I've learned in the past 10 years is I'm sort of like the curator, and they're the heroes. They're the ones that matter. I'm just here to guide them.
Check out the art coin, ART, on Rally. It's 500 graphic artists and visual artists that are using one coin together.
It's cool.
So they're minting NFTs on top of your network and kind of
Correct.
selling to.
Yes.
They're selling to their community, they're selling to each other, yeah.
And they use the art coin even to sell classes for art classes, and that revenue is shared amongst the collective. And when they sell NFTs on OpenSea, some of that revenue goes back into the artist's hands as the art coin back on Rally. By the way, Rally can mint NFTs as well. Yeah, that's a new thing that we're.
So is it audio and video as well, or
And just if anybody's curious about the tech, Rally is on a sidechain, but we are, the RLY token is ERC20, and we are building the capability to bridge Rally NFTs and creator coins back to mainnet. That should happen in very short order. Yep, we have another question in the back. If you have the mic, excellent.
Yes, thank you guys, really great session. I'm a creator, so I'm coming at that from this perspective.
You can apply on the website.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm a romance novelist and musician. And my question, I just wanted to bring it back to the fundamentals just for takeaways for myself or other creators that might be watching. And that is, maybe for Imind or Jeremiah, what are 3 tangible small steps that a creator can take immediately to, okay, do I just sign up for Rally? And then where do I go from there if I want to draw my readers or have an event?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think about small things that I will take away and do. So.
So first thing I would do, this is a question I get asked a lot. It really just depends on where you see yourself in the future and what you ultimately want to do. So you I think the first step is to think about where you're valuable, what you're good at, and what's the most fun for you. Something that you can see yourself do for a long time, whether it's a service or a product, and then create a campaign by doing that for free for a long time. Collect email addresses, get followers, engage with them. Don't think about money yet. And then once you set your tribe right there, then you can start to onboard them in whatever you want to onboard them on. But I think the important thing is thinking about what you love to do so you can do it for a long time, and something you can package up in a product or a service that can help people and onboard them that way, and do it for free at first. And then you can monetize that later.
Yeah, great. I mean, very pragmatic. There's a lot of education on the Rally website, and in particular, we have interviews with creators on YouTube where they talk about their different use cases, and there's just no shortage. We haven't had any authors yet.
No, I'm
Yeah,
excited.
so that's really an
It's a
interesting.
big community, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, somebody could do we do have writers. I wouldn't call them. They write business books. It's not quite the same, but
Somebody likes business books, come on.
I know. It's not romance though. But that's pretty sexy. I think you got to figure out your use case, right? That's the interesting thing. Like, how would you use this? Would you gate special content, unlock content? Could there be epilogue chapters that are only access to coin holders? Could you have a community where people could discuss things? Could there be a writer's circle that is only CoinGate accessed? Could you give away extra art from the book as an NFT and sell it on the market and can grow? I could come up with 10 use cases, but you got to prioritize.
And this is why you need to join his clubhouse.
Yeah.
See, those what Jeremiah said is all amazing amazing things that you can do, but like.
But you can't do them all.
Yeah,
Community
like
first.
I think the first step is getting people to give a shit, right? Like get them to care first.
Oh, for sure.
And a real good way to do that is give them free shit.
I mean,
Yeah.
the new positioning that Rally has, and you probably saw it on the things, it's crypto, communities, and creators, right? So you need that community. Without it, you have nothing, right? So.
Thank you.
What instrument do you play?
I play guitar and sing.
Awesome.
Oh, he's a killer, man.
Yeah.
Romance, oh, dude, stay away from my wife. Jesus.
That's perfect. Well, unfortunately, I think that's all the time that we have. Really appreciate you guys sitting up here. Before we let you go for lunch here, can you just really quickly just say where people can find you, the best way to kind of get in contact if they're curious?
Sure. So I'm on all social media, Illmind Producer, one word, ILLMIND Producer. That's Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. And I don't want to say I'm in beta, but I just launched a marketplace for producers to purchase melody loops, the thing I was talking about earlier. They're super limited and they're auction based, so it's silent auction. It's the website is loopnifty.com. I've been sort of thinking about all these ways to incorporate my Blapcoin into all these things I'm doing. So as you follow me, if you do decide to follow me, you're going to start to see a lot of these integrations come to life. So we're just getting started with this stuff. So appreciate you guys.
So who actually grabbed my coin? All right, so we're connected. You know where to find me. You can see my page, my Twitter account. So thank you for being part of my tribe. I will be giving away and selling some NFTs of me doing some Superman push-ups, and an illustrator is going to modify that. So my side thing is I love to do CrossFit. Jay Owyang, or you can find me on all the socials. So thank you for being part of my community.
Medium and Twitter, CFort9, but most importantly, rally.io. Come join our community. We really want to share it with you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Really appreciate the time. Appreciate it.